I'm making this video because I'd like to show my dissatisfaction with Path of Exile, and because I'm discouraged and quitting Crucible. I'm not important with big streamers, YT. But I believe other people are feeling the same way I am. I currently feel the same way about the Path of Exile. I could give up on creating content for PoE, and set up an online casino. Because that's how I feel. Seriously, I lost all the divines I had trying to gamble cards, and the worst, which is the only way to get it an HH per megabyte in a short period of time. If it fails, you have to farm again. I did that last league. I farmed 1.5 MB doing gamble. And now I feel compelled to play something that deletes everything on screen with Cast on Death Portal or something tanky ZDPs. It's just disheartening. It's looking like a tab target the game. You open a mechanic, you can't see what's going on. It takes hit kill. A dude jumps on you, takes hit kill. Even tank builds have a limit on when they can tank. Due to the PoE Ninja's EHP based on the guard skill activated, even if it is a juggernaut, will die at some point, but the problem itself is not dying, because I play in softcore. But that there is no longer the dodge mechanic. In the old days, when I started playing PoE, a friend mine even said, try to walk in a certain way so you have space to dodge the dummies. And I really did that. We could even have a glass cannon character at the level of an ice trap, but the power creep in the old days wasn't huge like today. GGG got lost at some point after Legion, where the game became abusive due to the abuse of players in putting together extremely super powerful builds. The devs answered them like this. Because we don't know why GGG doesn't want to nerf some builds like Ice Trap, they made a failed attempt at nerfing and failed to change the Saboteur into something else for CDR. I'm not complaining that the game is difficult. The game has to be difficult. On the contrary, the game is even easy. It all depends on the build you are going to use. For example, even Herald of Thunder is absurd as a boss killer. With 5 Link already does pretty much everything. I know this because I did it. I just didn't make uber bosses. I intended to farm a little more. And the worst thing about this whole situation is that we look around and we don't see any action RPG that is alive like PoE and doing a decent and legal job. D4 is terrible. D3 is not to be said. D2 is an outdated game despite being fun, and it's still an action RPG, different from Path of Exile, which, from my point of view, is no longer. It's more like a tab target. Sometimes I even think that Chris Wilson is right to make the game slower, because the game is more slow, you can make it more action. A very fast game without being cadenced, it becomes a target tab where you can't get an opening to dodge, and you are forced to depend on defensive layers. And GGG will never give defensive layers to be immortal. I even saw some videos of some builds that are immortal, but they have flaws. They are not completely immortal. And this thing of getting a build like Ice Trap to delete uber bosses is something very cancerous and harmful for the game, because anyone can kill an uber. Just have the currency to mount the build. The only game that has done a good job is Last Epic, but at the same time, I'm worried about several things in the game, and my hopes are still divided. But it was nice to know that the game will have a market, because solo self-found, HC, Ruthless or very niche contents, few people are interested in playing. You can see from the example of Diablo 2 Resurrected, his HC is the most balanced I've ever seen, and even then few people play HC. Now I'm going to talk about what they should do for the Path of Exile to improve. Remove all that gamble to try for high profits, work better crafting like the last epic, where you can craft medium items that fit the player's need at that moment and not be just one gamble. Ending this gamble of cards only serves to discourage players from playing when they lose everything, and make the game difficult without increasing the life of mobs, bosses, making them like a sponge, but creating mechanics to make it difficult to kill them. You can even take examples with Warframe mechanics, which I think is a well-paced and fast game, as enemies always have a weak point. And also focus on launching new skills, as this is what generates content for streamers, YouTubers. Currently all PoE skills are already saturated with builds. Well, thanks to those who watched. Have a great PoE League. Although I'm giving up, maybe I'll play again next season, but I've already decided that I'm going to play a lot less than I used to. Maybe I'll become a casual player. Really, because I realized and got real how bad it is to be farming to infinity in PoE. My decision has nothing to do with personal things, but because only this season 1 realized how bad the Path of Exile is going.